Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be making an updated hero wishlist guide. It has been a while since our previous one and there are quite a lot of new meta heroes which have come around. So we're going to take a look at the new priority. We'll be talking about Paragon upgrade priority as well. So basically there's going to be something here for everyone. We're going to lead it off with the Lightbearer faction. So the Lightbearer faction S levels, the number one new priority is going to be Gwyneth. Gwyneth has pre-endless Dream Realm boss usage, occasionally in the Titan Reaver phase 1 as well, and probably will have some Ravage Realm usage as well, potentially. Now, Gwyneth overall, she's just a really solid Lightbearer S level. There aren't that many other good options anymore, and she's also going to be really good for PvP. So, for players who enjoy PvP, Gwyneth is one of the major Paragon upgrade priorities out of all regular faction heroes. And so that is going to be another thing to consider. Along with her, we've put Siren because Siren has use in AFK stages. He also is a good PvP hero. For Dream Realm, he isn't going to have that usage, but I still recommend for those two areas that he will be your second hero to be leveling all the way up to Supreme Plus. However, there are some other heroes we have to talk about. Rowan, definitely getting one copy of Rowan and potentially one copy of Sonya is a good idea because they can have some usage for Dream Realm content, and Rowan for AFK stages at the one copy. You can even use them early on in PvP. Apart from that, Cassidy at Supreme Plus is actually occasionally being used in Dream Realm, however, not nearly as frequently as in the previous season, so I would not say that she's a major priority to upgrade to Supreme Plus, but if you want to have all your bases covered, eventually getting Cassidy to Supreme Plus is going to be important for you. And then Percy is another purely basically PvP hero. He doesn't have usage in other game modes generally, and so if you are trying to build him up for PvP, you can Paragon upgrade him. However, the more safer Paragon upgrades are definitely Gwyneth number 1 and even Siren number 2. Siren is flexible and can slot into a lot of teams. Perseus needs a dedicated team built around him, and melee hyper carries in general are just kind of in a bad spot in AFK journey due to like their survival issues. But yeah, the three major Paragon upgrade priorities are Siren and Perseus, and also it would have to be Rowan because Rowan has a decent usage for PvP comps, especially in Supreme League when you have to come up with 5 teams. And so if you're going to be planning on using him, Paragon upgrading him is going to be good. Okay, moving on to the A-level Lightbearers. The two most important ones for a new player, I would have to say, are Hugin and Eevee. Now, Hugin has good AFK stage usage, and he can be used in Dream Realm as well, especially early game. Eevee has Dream Realm usage, and also can be used in AFK stages. These heroes are predominantly made for the PvE game modes. However, you can even bring them out in PvP as well. Now, getting both of these heroes up to Supreme Plus will be an important priority, but then after you're done with that, you will want to build out the rest of your roster. Sylvan still, I have to say, is important enough to be building up, especially for AFK stages. And so building up your Supreme, or building up your Sylvan up to a Mythic Plus, or even Supreme Plus for AFK stages is going to be a priority. I would say he would be the third hero to be building up, and arguably you could even choose to build him before, for example, Eevee or Eevee. Yeah, however, I would stick to Eevee first, probably then Sylvan after that. After that, there are a couple other options we have to talk about, which are Zany and Faye. Now, Faye has Dream Realm boss usage only in Lady Starfallen, which is a little bit niche. However, if you want to max your score there, you will have to build Faye. Unfortunately. So build her basically at your own risk, because when that boss disappears, we don't know if Faye is going to be making a comeback or not. Zany has very niche usage as well, but early game she can be good in AFK stages, even in PvP and some Dream Realm. So getting a copy of Zany early on is definitely going to be a priority, but then basically after that, the question is, do you prioritize building her all the way to Supreme Plus? And yes, I do think so. Potentially you could build it before Faye, but basically, I think the order should be Hugin, Eevee, and then Sylvan, and then after that you can choose Zany or Faye. Those are the big 5. The other heroes here are not really important to be building, so that is what I would have to say. Now for Paragon upgrade priority, you guys can basically see it here. Hugin and Eevee I think are going to have the most likely usage in PvP, and I think they're the biggest priority investments, basically a supportive role into the team. Zany can be used in PvP. Sylvan, I would say don't try to make use of him. Even though Sylvan can be used, the thing is there's a better hyper carry now in Gwyneth. And there are not enough supports to go around to support like multiple hyper carry comps. And so that is a major reason why Sylvan is taking a backseat, whereas Gwyneth is right front and center right now. So that's what we have for all the Lightbearers. Let's go ahead and move on to Maulers. So Mauler S level, we have Smokey and Galahad to be building up first and foremost. And I do think these are the most important two S level Maulers to be building. For the PvE content, for Endless Dream Realm, you're going to have usage of both Galahad and Smokey. For pre-Endless, you're going to have usage of Smokey. Even for AFK stages early on, you're using Galahad. Even in PvP, you can bring her out. So these two are just really solid S-level Maulers. You should basically keep them here until they're Mythic Plus or maybe even Supreme Plus. But then when one of them here is complete for you, you have other hero priorities. And now it comes really down to which angle do you want to go from. I would probably say Mikola would be the third priority, although you could make an argument for Nazric. Basically, Nazric and Mikola, they both have very niche usage, very occasionally being used in Dream Realm. Nazric needs to be at plus 10 exclusive equipment to basically be usable at all in Dream Realm. Mikola can work at low copies potentially for some comps, but eventually even having her Supreme Plus is a pretty big boost. So yeah, but because they're really on the niche side, it doesn't really matter which one you pick first, but I would probably try to build up both of them. And then even another niche option is Shakira. Shakira plus 10 exclusive equipment is needed for like Ravage Realm, but that's basically it. And even in Ravage Realm, the top comps are not even using Shakira anymore, I believe. There's only like the budget teams. And so Shakira's in a really awkward place. He's really almost completely out of the meta, but he's just hanging on like by a thread. And so Shakira plus 10 exclusive equipment is if you want to cover all your bases, just like we were talking about Cassidy in the Lightbearers. But yeah, I mean, Shakira is not a major priority much at all. Now, Zandrock 1 copy early on for AFK stages is important. And if you're talking about PvP angle supports, like even though these are not classified as supports, Hepler and Zandrock basically provide a supportive role in PvP, and they're both very good at that. So for Paragon upgrades, because the other heroes here, like we have the Brutus, Ulsa, Reese, and Lumont, I do not think anyone should really be building them. There's no point of building these heroes. You're not really going to get value out of them. If we're talking about Paragon upgrade priority, I think it would have to be Zandrock if you're using him in like a melee hypercarry team for PvP, Hepler if you're using him. But Hepler can work at Supreme Plus, so you can actually get your Hepler to Supreme Plus and just make good use of him in PvP. But both of them can be Paragon upgrade priorities. Galahad is a Paragon upgrade priority just to boost your damage in Dream Realm, because it provides like overall stats which also apply to PvE. And Galahad really is a monster in Endless Dream Realm, and so you can do Galahad Paragon. You can even do Smokey Paragon for the same reason, although Smokey is not nearly as effective or like as used as Galahad in Endless. So like Smokey is definitely a lower priority, and you can even leave your Smokey at Supreme Plus, but Galahad would be more important to Paragon. Yeah. And that is it for the S level, basically Maulers we have here. For the A level Maulers, there are really only three. There are really only three heroes you have to build, which are Corden, Coco, and Kruger. Now, Kruger is going to have usage even at 1 copy, so you should pick up 1 copy of Kruger before you do anything else. But then I would say building up your Coco to Mythic Plus will be the next priority rather than building up Kruger, because Coco at Mythic Plus can provide you damage reduction, can provide you survival for early Dream Realm. For a new account, it can also help you in like the Heroic Gauntlet, Relentless Rumble, you know, when we use Coco a lot there as well. And so Coco, I would have to say, is still going to be a priority getting up to Mythic Plus. Corden, though, is probably the most important building up, because Corden at Supreme Plus, he basically unlocks his full potential. Unlike, Corden can work at low copies, but Kruger completely does his job basically at low copies. Corden doesn't get the maximum value for your team until he's Supreme Plus. But that being said, Corden doesn't have that much Dream Realm boss usage this season, but early game, if you're limited on options, you can definitely make use of him. He still is a good hero, and Kruger also for Dream Realm having that usage. Now for Paragon upgrade priority, there's honestly not much. There's Citrana if you're trying to do a Bonnie damage over time team for PvP, which a lot of people are trying to do, and it can be a good like tier 2 comp basically in PvP when you're limited on options. And so Paragon upgrade and Citrana probably would be the priority. The other heroes here you're not going to be using in PvP. Corden, Coco, Kruger, and the other Maulers, not really using PvP at all. The only honorable mention is Gerda. Gerda again fulfills that kind of supportive accessory role like Zandrock, like Hepler. You can do Gerda for the same thing because she will be benefiting your team, and Paragon upgrading her is going to improve the overall effectiveness of your team. So if you want to fully focus PvP, Gerda Paragon upgrade is a priority. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter what you pick here. But Citron is a good pick, of course, for the body damage over time team. Okay, we're done with Maulers. Let's move on to Wilders. So Wilder S level, there are a bunch, as you guys can see. There are a bunch of S level Wilders. However, the most important two have been locked in, which are Sleece and Valar, and that is for the PvE usage. For Dream Realm and AFK stages, you're going to be using Sleece and Valar the most. They are solid. And for PvP, Sleece is also really top tier. So Sleece is really the best S-level Wilder out of all of them, if you had to pick one. And Paragon upgrading her is going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be a major priority due to her flexible usage in PvP and basically any of your comms to make it stronger. Valar is just purely for PvE, so like if you are a mid-level of spender, you don't need to Paragon upgrade your Valar. The high spenders Paragon upgrade Valar just to, you know, squeeze out a bit of extra damage for Dream Realm or AFK stages, but it isn't like you're going to use Valar in PvP. She's just not good enough there compared to the other options you have. Now, after you're done with Valar and Sleece, there are other options. Ravion, I would have to say, is probably number 3 because of some Dream Realm usage, and also Ravion is a beast in PvP. He's a major Paragon upgrade priority. I would say Sleece and Ravion, major Paragon upgrade priorities. Really important to be building up on your account. And then after that, it is probably going to be Floribel. Floribel for the Summoner meta in Doomscore Dream Realm boss. You're going to need to use Floribel, and in other bosses, whenever Summoners do make a debut, you're going to be using Floribel in them. Floribel wants to rush to Supreme Plus as quickly as possible to get the full value for your team. However, even though she has this usage, I still do not think you should build her before Sleece or Valar. Definitely not. Arguably, you could build her number 3 before Ravion. However, both are just going to be giving you good overall value. So yeah, those are the other ones. Then after that, it just really comes down to AFK stages, Iron. Getting him up to Mythic Plus and higher can be a priority, but it's up to you if you want to invest into him. Like early on, you can use one copy of Mahira and things like that for AFK stages, but eventually, if you really want to be serious about pushing AFK stages, you need to get Iron to Mythic Plus. So that is going to be a priority. After that is mainly PvP. You have Lily May, who is a PvP utility tech hero to interrupt enemies and deal massive damage. She can be a Paragon upgrade priority if you use her on your PvP teams. Tassi has kind of fallen off. That being said, though, she can still work in some stalled teams or even Pandora Tassi, boosting her energy. There is a way to make Tassi work. However, I would say if you're a newer player right now, or if you haven't already have a high Paragon upgrade Tassi, I would say just avoid her, build more meta, newer, recent heroes, and put Tassi on the bench. But if your Tassi is like already Paragon upgraded, you've already committed to her, basically invested into her, you can finish her all the way to Paragon 4 and make use of her in PvP. She's still good. She's just not the top tier, basically, desirable hero to be having. And then there's just some other various options, like Pang has some PvP use. Brian, Brian I would probably not. And like for AFK stages even, I just hardly see Brian. Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone sees Brian anymore. Granny for Ravage Run, but she can work at low copies, so I would say don't even really bother fully building up your Granny. Unless you are a high spender and you just want to cap all your bases covered. So that's basically what we have for the Wilder S levels. There's a bunch, but basically the Paragon upgrade priorities are few, which are Sleece, Ravion, Lily May, and potentially Tassi after that. But really, I would say Sleece, Ravion, Lily May, these are the major Paragon upgrade priorities. Now moving on to the A-level Wilders, we have some good options here as well. Now, I would definitely have to say that Theodore and Faramore, yeah, these are the top 2 heroes you should be building from day 1, and you want to get them all the way up to Supreme Plus. They have great usage for AFK stages, for for Dream Realm, Faramore has usage, even Theodore having some usage with Freerim right now. And you can also use them in PvP, but Theodore really, he shines in PvP. Faramore not really as much. But basically, getting these 3 heroes built up is a major priority. After that, there's honestly not that much you want to consider building up. Like, the only things we can talk about are Leica for Summoner squads, like in Doom Scourge. Leica synergizes well with them. And you know, Peggy is coming, Lamentis is coming. There is going to be a bigger summoner meta, and Leica synergizes well with them with her attack speed buff. Damien also, he has usage in Lady Sir Fallen boss as like a budget option if you don't have all of the top, meta heroes. And so there you have that Damien, and Damien can work in PvP as well. So really, I would have to say it's probably these four it comes down to actually be building up. The other ones are not really important anymore to be building up. And for Paragon upgrade priority, definitely Theodore because he's a beast in PvP. Pharamore, some people Paragon upgrade just to have better damage output for AFK stages, if that's something you're interested in. Or you can just opt to go fully for like a PvP support like Leica, who can buff up your team. Probably would be my option for Paragon here, like Theodore and Leica for pure PvP. But yeah, that is all we have to really say about the Wilder A levels. So moving on to Graveborn, we have Graveborn S levels. We still have Shamira in this leading like priority along with Damon. The reason I have Shamira here is that, yes, I know Shamira has been power crept. She is not the best damage dealer for pre-endless Dream Realm. However, if you are a player who doesn't have free run like you missed out on the collab banner, you can still use Shamira. Shamira is just not as good as the latest pre-endless damage dealers like Gwyneth and like Freeran. But otherwise, she can be used. She's going to be using Ravage Realm at the end of the season. And in PvP, like, if you've been playing for a while, you probably have Paragon upgraded Shamira. You can keep Paragon upgrading her just to, like, you know, you've already invested into her. You can just finish her off. Because a Paragon 4 Shamira is still a Paragon 4 Shamira at the end of the day. I know it isn't as effective as some of the later, more recent heroes, but like, especially if you're a player who is PvP focused, you're going to be wanting to build teams for Supreme League, and in that you need to build 5 teams, so definitely you're going to have a home for Shamira on one of those teams if your Shamira is already invested. So, you know, Paragon upgrade Shamira is still fine. I wouldn't say it is top priority anymore, but like, that's just the argument for that. Now, Damon is a hero for PvP can be used, AFK stage can be used, also some Dream Realm usage. Basically around the board, all game modes, he has some usage, but nothing crazy, nothing insane, but he still has that usage. And so I think building up Damon for a new account probably would be the second priority, along with Shamira. However, there are other arguments which can be made, which we're going to talk about right now. Ludovic can be built for a purely Ravage Realm angle and PvP, but Ludovic doesn't have Dream Realm usage anymore. He is not a top tier damage dealer for any of Dream Realm, and also for Ravage Realm, like, yeah, I mean, he is, but like, just building for Ravage Realm seems like kind of crazy, and that's why I think probably he would be a third or fourth priority. Thorin is the interesting case because we have the King Croaker Dream Realm boss, and like, your Thorin can work at lower copies. However, if you want the maximum value, you need Thorin at Mythic Plus, because then he has the 3 lives, and you can take all the insta kills of the King Croaker boss. Otherwise, one of your other allies is going to have to take a kill from the boss. And so Thorin is a priority for just King Croaker boss mainly, because apart from that, I mean, he's just not a great hero for other content. So yeah, I would say he's probably the fourth priority. I would say, yeah, Shamira, Damon, then Ludovic, then Thorin. I would have to say that. Now, the question comes for Paragon upgrade priorities and PvP angle. Now, honestly, I think the biggest hero for Paragon upgrade priority would have to actually be Zoria right now. You know, it's kind of crazy because Zoria just on her own doesn't really do anything. However, when you couple her with damage over time, whether it be from Bonnie, Shadewing, Citrana, or even an Athalia, if you're going to be building Athalia or have her built, then Zoria actually is the best ally to pair up with those heroes, because she guarantees the fight is going to last minimum like 40 to 50 seconds. Because of her 2 basically lives and all of that downtime. She's just a time buyer, basically, for your team. And that's exactly what damage over time teams need. And so for that reason, Zoria is actually going to be, like, you know, for those comps, she is the top hero to be running in them. You can also use Igor, but Igor has some issues because he can be killed before fully strolling out the opponent. Now, it's great if you can run Igor and the opponent doesn't manage to kill your Igor, because then Igor actually gets off even more value than Azura, because Igor keeps dealing damage throughout the fight. He HP recovery blocks the enemies and basically has more utility. But the problem is you're also running the risk that if you're running Igor, Igor could get popped within seconds and your battle ends prematurely, whereas Azura guarantees the battle goes on for 40, 50 seconds, like we said. Also, Zoria can output some pretty insane damage. And so really right now, I kind of do regret the fact that I swapped my Zoria into Hepler. I mean, I don't regret it because I'm making good use of Hepler, but like, I wish I went back in time and I built both of them, just and not not skipping one of them, because Zora does have that usage, and if I had Zora at Paragon 4, I would be using her in my Supreme League team along with Athalia, Graveborn, Graveborn Stall, Zora, Athalia combo. I would definitely be using that, but I can't do that because Paragon Zora is not really enough for my level that I'm competing at, but I am gradually going to be building her up. So basically, that's what I have to say about Zora. Igor can be Paragon upgraded, and he's fine. He's good in the Bonnie damage over time teams. However, like I said, I think he's a little bit more foolproof compared to Zora. Zora is like the gold standard. Igor is like, you could get value, but also at the same time, you could very easily just die early and lose a match. And I don't like that inconsistency when it comes to Igor. I like the consistency of Zora. You know what you're getting with Zora. Igor, you don't know what you're getting depending on what the opponent and their positioning is actually laid up. You can also Paragon upgrade Ludovic, Damon. These are heroes for PvP, even Shmir, like we said. However, when we're talking about the top tier meta PvP teams, these heroes, Damon, Ludovic, Shmira, they can have a place. Damon definitely has the best chance of having a place. Ludovic second and Shmira third. But like, I don't actually use any of the three. In my current Supreme League team's lineup, I'm not using any of the three, unfortunately. Even though I have them hyper invested, like, all of them are plus 25 exclusive equipment as well, but I'm not using them because they're not quite tier 1, right? And Zora is a tier 1 hero when she's a part of the Athalia comp. So yeah, but anyway, any one of these 4 can be Paragon upgrade pros, or even Igor if you want, but that's what we have for the S level Graveborn. Moving on to the A level Graveborn, I think every new player should be building up your Shadewing and Bonnie first and foremost, because these two heroes have good synergy. They have good damage for free Endless Dream Realm, which can help you early on in Dream Realm content. You can even use Bonnie in AFK stages, and also both of them, they reduce the attack of the opponent you're targeting, and that can help you to survive in early game Dream Realm content. So Shadewing, Bonnie, I think are good heroes. I think just solid that you should be investing into, and basically taking them all the way up to Mythic Plus or even Supreme Plus. But yeah, there are some other key A-level Graveborn priorities. I would have to say number 3 priority would probably be Callan. Callan, because he can have AFK stage usage, but more than that, like when you ever see Stellar Ascent, Heroic Gauntlet, Callan is being used a lot. In PvP, Callan is still a beast for that massive damage reduction he provides for all of your allies. Obviously, Dream Realm Callan has no usage. That's why I can't make him like an initial priority, but I could make him a number 3 priority, basically. And he can also be Paragon upgraded due to his PvP usage. But at the same time, Bonnie and Shadewing potentially can also be Paragon upgraded if you're planning to run a damage over time team involving them. So yeah. Apart from that, we have some other heroes here, which are really on the niche side. Velka and Isabella. These are 2 heroes which in the past have had some Dream Realm boss usage, but this season, basically nothing. Like, I have not seen them, and really no one is using them anymore. So that is kind of the issue. They have some Ravage Realm usage at the end of the season, but that's not enough of a reason to like fully be committing and investing into these heroes. So they are eventually priorities if you want to cover all your bases, but like in terms of actual usage you're going to get out of them, it's not very much. And so they're really on the lower priority spectrum of everything. We have Nero, but Nero is basically purely a PvP hero, and he's decent in PvP, definitely with Bonnie, damage over time teams. He can spread the Bonnie debuffs, even spread Satrana debuffs pretty effectively. However, and he can give extra lives, he can take Lily May interruptions of the enemy, and definitely for that, he's a good Paragon upgrade priority and PvP investment. But like for all other content, you're not really going to be using him at all, not even in Ravage Realm. And so for those reasons, it's kind of like, I mean, yes, you can build him, but he is on the lower priority, definitely, of things. For Paragon upgrade priorities, like, you can't go wrong with Callan and Nero. These are heroes which can slot into multiple teams and also make them stronger, and you can definitely make use of them. If you're going all in on the Bonnie damage over time strategy, you can in Paragon upgrade your Bonnie and Satrana, and that's not a bad option. Or Bonnie, of course Satrana, but she's Mauler. Shadewing, Bonnie and Shadewing, because Shadewing actually does work in the Bonnie damage over time team if you want to make use of that. And so you can Paragon upgrade these 2. But basically, I think the 3 safest Paragon upgrades would be Bonnie, Nero, and Callan. I think these would be the 3 safest ones. But Shadewing is definitely a consideration as well. So that is what we have for the regular wish list, talking about Paragon priority, talking about all the heroes currently in the game. Hopefully that does give you a lot of insight. We're briefly going to take a look at the epic recruitment, but really the epic recruitment is just going to be basically placing your S level heroes, which are priorities from the regular wish list we we just talked about, you're going to be placing them here as your 5 selected heroes. The only important caveat for epic recruitment is Pandora is only recruitable from the epic recruitment, and so a lot of people recommend to just always keep Pandora here even when she's Supreme Plus, because then you can begin Paragon upgrading her and you can use Pandora in PvP. Pandora is decent in PvP, but she's not absolutely top tier. However, I would probably say to be careful, and because of her Ravage Realm usage as well and some Endless Dream Realm usage, I think it does make sense to Paragon upgrade your Pandora and just basically permanently keep her on this epic wish list. But definitely there are times where if you're really missing another key hero and you want to get a few more copies, you can swap Pandora out for that hero, for example. There is no problem with that. Now, the initial 4 apart from Pandora, which I've put here, I believe are going to give you the most basically value for your investment across the game modes. Galahad for Endless Dream Realm, there is no question. She is an absolute essential hero. She has to be on this wish list to begin with. You don't have to take a Paragon or anything here. Like, on this wish list, you should be filling out Supreme Plus of your S-level heroes, your key S-level heroes that we talked about when we covered all the heroes in the regular hero wish list. Do not be putting A-level heroes here, because they're only going to give you 5 copies of the A-level hero and 1 copy of the S-level hero. And that is not a good rate of exchange. In fact, the fair rate of exchange is 8 copies of A-level for 1 copy of S-level. So never put your A-levels here. You're just getting very bad basically exchange rate. So you just only put S-level heroes here, the key ones which you need to build out. And Galahad definitely is one of the top. Celise, we already talked about. I think there's nothing more to say about Celise. She is the queen of multiple game modes, basically all game modes in the game. You want to be maxing her to Supreme Plus as quickly as you can. Valara for PvE content. She is a queen of PvE content. Dream Realm and AFK stages, you need to get her to Supreme Plus as quickly as you can. And I'll put Gwyneth here because when we're talking about pre-endless Dream Realm damage dealers, I do think Gwyneth basically tops the charts of the S levels which are available for you. It used to be Shamira in the past, but Shamira cannot even stand up to Gwyneth, really. Gwyneth is still the better damage dealer for the different various bosses she's in. And if you have Freerin, hopefully you do, then Freerin also covers the other bases for Dream Realm. It's basically Gwyneth and Freerin stealing the show for Dream Realm content. Apart from the Doomscourge boss, which is just a niche boss where a summoner like Floribel is needed. But definitely Gwyneth is a flex slot here. You could replace for another key hero you really need, or you're close to getting the key upgrade of. And when you get these 4 heroes to Supreme Plus, you should definitely be swapping them out for the other meta heroes. Other meta hero examples, we talked about them in the regular wish list, but they are heroes like Ravion. He has some Dream Realm boss usage. They can be like Shamira because early game, if you're limited on options or you miss a Freerin collab banner, you're still going to use Shamira somewhat in pre-endless Dream Realm. It can be heroes even like Floribel. Definitely is a good option for Doomscourge, rushing her to Supreme Plus. That's going to be major value. Thorin Mythic Plus Rush for the King Croaker boss, and very importantly, Iron for AFK stages, going to be important. And of course, once you have your key heroes all at Supreme Plus like we talked about, then you can begin working on your Paragon upgrade priorities. The most important Paragon upgrade priorities, you can keep them on your epic recruitment wish list. And that's all we have to say for that. Now, finally, we come to the Stargaze Station. Now, the Stargaze Station, most important hero to be building to Supreme Plus is still the twins. However, before you get the twins, you do want to pick up 1 copy of Mahira. Every player should pick up 1 copy of Mahira as a first Celestial Hypogean, because that is going to allow you to push AFK stages more effectively, and that is really important. You're going to get Aurora for free, and you're going to be able to make use of her as an early game player very effectively. She's very good for early game players, definitely, and can be used in all game modes early game. After the 1 copy of Mahira, you want to pick up definitely 1 copy of your twins, because that's going to have some Dream Realm usage. However, before you fully max your twins, even though they are the first maxing priority, I would honestly consider picking up 1 copy of Contest and 1 copy of Gunner, because these are heroes you're going to occasionally be able to use in Dream Realm content even at 1 copy. Potentially maybe even in AFK stages. I'm not sure about that, but basically these are heroes which can actually function relatively well at 1 copy, and I think it would make sense to pick up 1 copy of both, along with Mahira 1 copy and Twins 1 copy as your like initial roster of Celestial Hypogeans. When you are done with that, these 1 copies, you want to fully invest into your twins, getting them all the way to Supreme Plus, because the twins are the are currently the top option for all game modes in basically AFK Journey. They are essential for Dream Realm and also have that AFK stage usage. So twins are your major priority build up, and you need to take them all the way to Supreme Plus. Plus 15 exclusive equipment. You need to do that. Now, after the twins are done, you will want to be building up Contest next. Contest is now the second most biggest priority to be building all the way up to Supreme Plus because she has pre-endless and endless Dream On boss usage. So basically, if you have your twins and Contest at Supreme Plus, you're already sitting in a really good position. You're going to be able to come up with a lot of near top meta teams for Dream On content, which is the major resource generating game mode. And that is why it's important. Now, after you're done with twins and contests, now things become debatable. It becomes arguable. What is the next best priority? Is it Gunner? And honestly, it's really tough, honestly, at this point. Because Gunner is really key for pre-Endless Dream Realm. But when you move on to Endless, you're not going to be using him as much. Much more on a niche usage rate. And so, fully building up Gunner is definitely, it makes sense, and he's probably going to have some longevity. He's also really good for AFK stages. He's very good for PvP as well. Overall, Gunner is just a solid hero. Now, I would say probably it does make sense to be building up your Gunner after your twins and contested build. But there are other arguments. The other argument is, do you want to just rush your Rainier to Mythic Plus? Because Rainier basically functions at Mythic Plus. For pre-Endless Dream Realm, you're still going to have usage of Rainier at Mythic Plus. The question is, though, Rainier's been out for over 2 years since global launch. He is becoming less and less used as time goes on. Every season, he becomes less and less used. Eventually, there's probably going to come a point where maybe you're not using Rainier at all. But he's still sticking around. For some boss content pre-Endless Dream Realm, he's still in the top teams. He also only generally needs a Mythic Plus investment requirement, so he's less expensive than other heroes. But Gunner only needs the Supreme level of investment. Gunner doesn't even need Supreme Plus. The Supreme Gunner plus 15 exclusive equipment is actually enough for Dream On content, so he can also be considered somewhat of a budget level of investment. But basically, it would have to be between Gunner and Rainier if you're talking from a purely Dream On perspective, which is basically what a lot of people are shooting for. Then after that, we do have Alicent, which is definitely an honorable mention, and Baelran as well. Alicent and Baelran, they have some endless Dream On boss usage. However, the thing is, as more, we have Freedom for HP loss damage, we have Galad for HP loss damage, we have Contest now for HP loss damage. Is now like, the slots are filling up. And it could just be like one new meta Dream Realm hero to be released, whether it be King Roland, and he's going to be put into the team that could kick Baelran and Alicent basically out of Dream Realm for good. And so they're really on the basically edge of the cliff right now. They may remain living and basically useful for a while longer, or they may just be kicked off by King Roland or some other meta Dream Realm hero that comes out. So that's a bit of a, these heroes are a little bit on the older side. They're not recent releases, and so there's an even bigger risk that they're going to expire soon. So Baelran and Alicent, they are honorable mentions for Dream Realm. Currently, they're going to have their usage, but the question is just how much usage will they have? If you're going for the AFK stage angle, you have Saida as the queen of AFK stages. She's the most important Celestial Hypogean to be building up to Supreme Plus first and foremost if you want to push hard in AFK stages. You can't do it without Saida fully built up if you want to push hardcore. So Saida is number one. Now the problem is, or actually the good news is, based on how Apex stage worked this season, in fact, even without Saida, people were able to clear Apex stages because of the new map effect. Hopefully this remains, because then that will mean that, you may not necessarily need to have these AFK stage exclusive Celestial Hypogeans unless you want to be like your first clear in your district or your first clear in your server or something, in which case you will obviously need Saida. But Saida still is the queen of AFK stages. After that, we have Alna, who would be the second priority for AFK stages along with Gunner. But Alna is just a really solid hero. For PvP, she is the best PvP hero of all Celestial Hypogean heroes. There's no question in my mind, and it is very likely she is going to remain meta for PvP for 4 or 5 years down in the future, because Alna provides invincibility to your ally, which is the most game-changing protection and support any hero can have. Even if we look at AFK Arena, Alna was meta in PvP for like 6 years. It was only like, someone told me it was only like a month ago that actually she got power crept, and she's probably still going to be used in one of your teams. And like, you know, this is the thing. These heroes which provide such great utility for your team, there's no question that they're going to be around for a long time in the future. So all enough for PvP, definitely. Apart from that, we have, who else do we have to talk about? Dunlinger long term for PvP definitely has that value. Again, he can shut down enemy ultimates, great protection for your team. And so yeah, Dunlinger, solid hero, no question about that. But he's a purely PvP hero. He's going to do nothing else for you other than PvP. And that's why he's a much more expensive investment. Sulfura is, again, kind of similar. She's a purely PvP investment pretty much, for the most part. She has some very niche Dream on boss usage. We only saw her very occasionally. And probably that is not really enough to warrant building her for Dream On content. But for for AFK stages and PvP, you're gonna have Sulfura. So Sulfura is the latest Celestial Hypogean. She is the best hyper carry currently in the game to be protected by an Ulna. So yeah, I mean Sulfura definitely a solid hero and definitely worthy of investment for PvP enjoyers or for people who love pushing cutting edge AFK stages. Assuming you already have the key pieces, which are Saida, Ulna, Gunner, Contest. Like, these are already the key pieces. If you have all of those, then yes, you can do Sulfura next. But that's basically it. I'm not going to really talk about the other heroes here because they're not just really worth talking about. Like, I mean, Kulu for AFK stages, yes, building her up to Supreme Plus is eventually going to be important. But basically, that's a really kind of like AFK stage exclusive thing. The other heroes, Thalia and Cryonite, are just not the top tier meta PvP damage heroes anymore. They have definitely, you can make use of them, but I would not really be recommending fully committing to them now if you don't already have them built up. If you have them built, you can try to make use of them, but like building them up now, not gonna be the potentially smartest thing. But yeah, Thalia does have synergy with Zarya, like we talked about earlier in the video, and definitely that is a strong comp for Supreme League, at least currently in the current meta. And so like definitely there is that angle. And but yeah, I would be very cautious about your investment into these heroes. And then for Ezreal, Harak, no, I think these are not worth investing into anymore. Very limited usage, just confined to potentially Titan Reaver once per season, Ravage Realm once per season. And probably it's only a matter of time before there will be some better options. And that's basically it. Now, just one final thing I want to talk about is that the season store. So let's go ahead and go to the season store. So for example, if we go into the season store here, you can pick up these soul sigils for diamonds in order to level up your collab heroes. Now, these are worth getting for a hero like Freerin. If you played the Freerin collab event, you got your copy of Freerin or whatever, and you want a Paragon upgrader, it is worth actually doing it from here because Freerin is basically the most meta collab hero we've ever had. She is currently one of the top hyper carries damage heroes for PvP, and she is one of the most used Dream Realm heroes, period, for pre-endless and endless. And so basically this is the kind of exceptional circumstance where actually it can be a wise idea to be picking up these soul stones in order to be upgrading your Freerin. I would not be upgrading your Himmel unless your Himmel is not Supreme Plus. If your Himmel, you left him at Mythic Plus, yes, you can get him up to Supreme Plus because you're going to get value from that, but I would not be Paragon upgrading Himmel. But Freerin, I would be. I think Freerin is that one exception. She is worth actually picking up these soul sigils for this diamond price. It is worth it because she's just such a meta hero. And that's basically just the final point I had to mention. Hopefully this video is helpful and it gives you a good idea of how you should be organizing your wish list and maximizing your success as well as the Paragon upgrade priorities. Let me know if you have any other basically observations or input you have on the heroes or the priority. Feel free to share that in the comment section. That is always appreciated because again, I try my very best to give all my explanation and my priorities. However, of course, there can be some other opinions which are valuable. And yeah, so that's always nice to hear about. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with all of your summons. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment. And you can actually bookmark this link in your browser. And whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.